that process are like you're taught, pray for your child, or even you know yourself as a mother and a father that you need to pray for that child in the womb of the mother. Other things are like singing for the baby. Other things are resting, taking a rest. Other things are healthy feeding. Other things are clinic checkups. So many things are involved. But then the real work starts when the baby is born. That is where the real work happens. The baby comes out and immediately, I'm glad I'm speaking to so many mothers today, so they are going, and fathers, they're going to understand where I'm coming from. Immediately the baby is faced by a very challenging season. Underline the word season. It is a season for the baby. Every challenge they go through in the first few hours, first few days, first few weeks, first few months, they are all seasonal. The baby is faced by all those, and he or she cannot do without the mother. The mother has to be there, all the caregiver for those mothers who lose their lives during the process. The caregiver and the mother has to be there 100%. Otherwise, the baby cannot survive. The baby is 100% reliant on the caregiver or the mother. The few things that happen when the baby comes out are, first, the baby is traumatized by a certain change in environment. And they are so traumatized such that some cry hysterically and some don't. But we all expect the baby to sense the change, and that is why the doctor sometimes, if the baby doesn't cry, ni nini anafanyangwa? Wababa mnajua what happens? Mtoto anachapangwa kofi moja serious. So that atitoke na menye gwe kundu kungia kinya nigetha a face reality atiga guikara denial ine trauma area a face iache of the newborn baby. The baby is usually powerless. Ukikangalia in those first few hours, they have no control over anything, even their own hand. They cannot lift. If they lift, it falls. They have no control, 100%. Everything except from crying and maybe sleeping and maybe wandering. The baby also looks, if you look at that baby, they also look weightless. Wanakaanga ni kama they are like a feather. Unakashika tu unashindwa hizi kilo ndizo nilikuwa nazo wakati nilizaliwa. And they are also very vulnerable. We know you cannot just invite guests. Wakuje waone a newborn baby washikashike tu. There are mothers who will literally tell you uoge mkono before ushike mtoto, and some hospitals demand that because this baby is so vulnerable in that season mpaka kushika the slightest of germs. And we know from birth kuna sindano wanadugangwa ya kuprotect the vulnerability, the sicknesses that come along. The baby at that season can only communicate through crying and sleeping. Akilala unajua maybe ameshiba, amechoka. Akilia, they are communicating something. Maybe they want to be changed. Maybe they are hungry. Maybe they are not comfortable. Socks zimewakaza. So many petty things. But they can only communicate in that season through crying and sleeping and just wandering. Unaona tu unafuata macho ya mtoto. In this exact moment, all seasons, a mother is taught very important things. And for us who has had more than one baby, these things we know them. And for those who don't know them, wanafunzangwa, if you meet a good nurse or a good doctor who understand psychologically the needs of the baby and the mother, they will tell the mother how you can help your baby at that moment when they are not able to speak out, when they can communicate to you with just cries and eyes and nothing else. How you can help your baby is through eye contact. The doctor will tell you, look at your child for so many reasons. You can imagine you have this new baby born new baby, and you're not even looking at that baby, of course, the child will feel in his unconscious like they are neglected. Sorry. They will feel like they are alone, like no one is watching over them. Ni kama tu wako peke yako. Even now, if I preach to you looking like this, will you connect with me? There will be no connection. If I look on the other side, will you call me your preacher of the day? You won't, because I didn't display that. So the mother is taught to maintain eye contact. Communication starts from the womb, na hata akitoka hata wakati hana neno la kusema, communication should continue. And the babies that develop the best, they are the babies that we speak to hata wakiwa kwa womb. They are the babies that we speak to even when they can't say a word for themselves. It is said that they develop so well, and like a child alikuwa ananyamaziwa tu, mama ni kufeed tu na kudress na kumwacha hapo. Communication through the eyes. The reasons the mother must maintain eye contact, it is because of communication, like I'm saying. It encourages the baby to express their feelings. Ukimwangalia anaweza lia, ukimwangalia anaweza smile, because they want to tell you, you are looking at me, I want to tell you that I'm happy. So the baby smiles, I'm okay. And the baby, sometimes you look at them and they will cry because they want to tell you, you are looking at me, let me tell you, I'm not happy, I'm saddened. They are communicating. They might even frown their face because they want you to understand something. The other reason the mother is encouraged to maintain this eye contact with the baby is bonding and emotional connection. There is no emotional connection, no bonding if you don't look at your child. The mother seeks, that amazing mother seeks an intimate connection with the child. Tunakuanga tumewapenda sana na tunawahurumia sana because of this vulnerability. So we have this motherhood thing that God has put in us. Even in fathers, they have this instinct that they want to connect so dearly to these vulnerable humans. Their mother are seeking that intimate connection through eyes. There is no other shortcut. You may feed them, you may dress them, but if you don't look at them, you are not creating this bond and connection. The last thing, the mother offers a sense of security and trust through fixing their eyes with the kids. They are creating a sense of security. Yes, I'm here to protect you. You are not alone. That is security. And trust. Yes, you can express yourself. I'm here for you. The child feels, when the mother looks at them, the child feels, I have security. I can trust my mother. And they trust so easily because you are looking unto them. Until hata ukimpatia poison atafungua tu mdomo wa kule, because you have created a sense of trust. It's usually a very intense and interesting season between a mother and a child. And I know mume connect. Wenye wako na watoto tumekumbuka those moments, and there is no amazing experience in this world. Hakuna another amazing experience this world than raising someone who was helpless. Unamuona akikimbia huku. It gives you so much joy, it surprises you, it makes you feel, kweli Mungu ameniumba nikiwa mtu wa maana kama naweza lea hivyo. And I'm giving this illustration to bring down my sermon of the day. And likewise, in our lives, we will find ourselves in the baby season. We will find ourselves in that baby season. And the baby season is that season you are helpless. You are powerless. You have no control. That season, it's a season that sometimes you can only communicate through tears. You have no word. You cry and you sleep. Tomorrow you cry and you sleep. You are not praying, you are doing nothing. You just want your father to understand you through your sleeping and through your crying. You can only communicate through making loud your eyes. You have no words. This is the baby season that I want us to talk about. According to our Father in heaven, when we come to that baby season, when we are weightless, when we are powerless, when we have no control, when we are so vulnerable to so many dangers, what should we do according to our Father in heaven? I'm going to read Hebrews 12, verse 1 to 2. And our sermon of the day is eyes on Jesus. Eyes on Jesus. Like a baby, eyes on the mother. For us, eyes on Jesus. Hebrews 12, 1 to 2. I will read New King James Version. It says, therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a crowd of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us learn with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured. There are some versions that say, we fix our eyes on Jesus. Let me check. Hebrews 12, 1 to 2. Hebrews 12, 1 to 2. Therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a crowd of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us learn with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. The second verse I'm going to read is Psalms 121, verse 1 and 2. Psalms 121, 1 and verse 2. I lift, Psalms 121, verse 1 and 2. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. All these verses are speaking the same thing about fixing your eyes on Jesus, looking unto the Lord. Looking unto the Lord. When a baby season comes to you, and the only thing you can do is communicate through crying, and the only thing that faces you is trauma because of the change of your environment. You see something has happened in your life and you cannot believe it, and you feel traumatized because of some changes. Maybe you lose your business, maybe you lose a loved one, maybe you lose someone who was really supporting you. When those changes come and traumatize us, these realities, when they come to us, even sometimes we may lose our health. When we have very little control and we are very vulnerable and we are powerless and we don't know even where to start or finish. Hebrews 12, verse 1 and 2 is calling Jesus the author and finisher of our faith. And what does that mean? It means Jesus is still on the throne. He has the control. He's the author and finisher of our faith. It means Jesus is still on the throne. He's still in control. He's still in charge, even if you are not. Just like the mother is in charge, Jesus is in charge. Jesus is still able to take you out. He's the author and finisher of our faith. Fixing our eyes on Jesus does not mean, because we are insisting on this point of fixing our eyes on our mothers or Jesus, it doesn't mean denial. Ati sasa upotelee whatever is happening around you. It doesn't mean avoidance. It doesn't mean running away from whatever is happening around. It means giving Jesus the ultimate attention. Inamaanisha, yes, everything is happening, but what is taking your time? What is taking your energy? Where you are spending your resources and your energy and your thoughts, it is upon Jesus. It doesn't mean denial. It doesn't mean avoidance. It doesn't mean running away from our problems, our vulnerability, our powerlessness. It means we are giving Jesus this ultimate priority and attention through it all. And how do we give God our ultimate attention? How do we give him ultimate priority? It is simply by knowing who he is and what he is able to do. A baby kakitembelewa kakiwa kadogo, everybody tells that baby, huyo ni mom. Hata mama anaweza sema mimi ni mama, because the mother wants the baby to understand, I will mother you. I am able to take care of you. And likewise, we should understand who God is. We should understand that he's so able. He will never neglect us. He's our Father. We are his children. And second, let us understand what he's able to do. If a mother can raise a 1 kg child, for those who come before time, if a mother can nurture a baby na akue mwanaume ama mwanamke with 1 kg, at that moment of vulnerability, how much more can God do in your season of vulnerability? Na wewe saa yuko mzima, you have the eyes, you have the hand, you can take yourself to church, you can take yourself to work. God can do much more for you. If a mother has that ability to raise a helpless kid, God can do much more. We should believe this. The other thing we have to do to believe, the other thing we have to do to give God that ultimate priority and attention, it is to lean on his promises. What has he promised? Yes, in this new season of my vulnerability, I've lost my business, I've lost my loved one, I've lost my health. I'm facing so many challenges in life. What does God say about my health? What does God say about my family? What does God say about my child? What does God say about this country that I cannot control, that I'm so vulnerable in it, that I am powerless? I have ideas, I cannot tell them to implement those ideas. What do you do in that season? Remember what God has said. Remember his promises about the challenges you are going through. It means our world may change. We may lose everything. And we may even suffer. That is inevitable. Suffering, discouragement, hizo vitu tukue tuna expect. Fear will come, worry will come, frustration, rejection will come, despair will come, losses will come, pain will come. When that season comes, you have a choice. Either to focus your eyes on the problem or to focus your eyes on Jesus. So challenge to us all, including me, where are you fixing your eyes today? Do you know fixing your eyes for a long time on the problem can make you sick? It can take away, it can literally drain every joy, every good thing in you. But fixing your eyes on what is God and what is of God for a long time will encourage you, will give you hope, will restore you, will deliver you, will take you out of that baby season. We have a choice if we are facing these things today, or if we know someone who is facing them, they then have a choice to meditate on the promises of God and declare the truth about their future. We have an option sahi kumeditate upon Mungu umesema nini? What is the truth that you are saying about my future? What are you saying about my health? What have you said about my sons and daughters? What have you said about our nation? We have a choice. We either fix our eyes on the problem, or we either fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. We have no power, we have no control, we have no power. If you feel like that today, you have an option. You may lack everything else, but don't lose this option of fixing your eyes on our helper, who is Jesus. I'm going to read our last verse and see someone who was so powerful, but it reached a point he lost control and that power, and the only option that they were left with was fixing their eyes on Jesus. We will read 2 Chronicles 20 verse 12. 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 Jehoshaphat prayed, "We are powerless, God, before this great multitude who are coming against us. We don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you. We are powerless." This is Jehoshaphat praying, "God, before this great multitude who are coming against us, we don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you. Our eyes are fixed on you." Who was Jehoshaphat? Jehoshaphat was this powerful king who had every weapon at his disposal. And this man was known to lead everybody who was under his jurisdiction, wale wenye alikuwa natawala, to lead them to worship the Almighty God and to know that he's one true God. He was a good man. He had done good work for Jesus, for God. But this moment came when a multitude of Ammonites and another two groups of multitude came to attack his people. And he felt powerless, despite the fact that he had an amazing past of dealing with the enemies. This time he felt so powerless. His weapons couldn't help him anymore. His wisdom ran short, and he felt so vulnerable in the multitude of the enemies who was coming to attack them. He felt he has no control. You can imagine a whole leader saying, "I don't have control." And I'm remembering like someone was almost losing control recently, despite being so powerful. And this one amazing man, this verse is telling us, it is indicating that this man was not only powerless, but still he was planless. You can imagine, you may have power and lack a plan. But now he didn't have power and he didn't have a plan. That was a sad state to be in. But then, because he's a king, an amazing one, he was humble enough to surrender. And he was wise enough to know there is an option. Despite having no plan, despite having no power, he was humble enough to surrender and say, "I am not able. Despite the fact that I'm known, I'm powerful, I have these weapons, God, at this point I'm not able." And he also knew there is an option, because kings were chosen because they had wisdom. He had this wisdom to know, I have a plan B, and the only plan B I have is setting my eyes upon God, who is the mighty man of war. He fixed and he declared and he told God, "We are only fixing our eyes on you." Maybe the enemy has been oppressing you. Maybe the enemy amekuwa akijipanga. Maybe the enemy has already struck you. Maybe you feel defeated despite your wisdom, despite the counsel you have sought, despite the kneeling you have done, despite the advices you have received, despite kuombewa na watu. You feel on your knees. You are surrendering this day. You may be traumatized because of the change that has drastically happened. The environment has changed you, like for that baby, vile inachangingi drastically at one moment. Maybe you feel so vulnerable, like every enemy is after you. Like there is a sickness coming and it has been testing you, and you're wondering, could this turn out to be those illnesses that you have to rely with drugs forever? Maybe you are watching your child and you are like, huyu mtoto ni kama nitamruzi. Maybe they are not doing what I need them to do. Maybe you are losing them because of health, because of metugo yao. You feel like I've done my part, but then I'm losing this battle. Maybe you don't know what to do. You don't know who to go to. You don't know where to turn to. There is this option. Yes, you have no control, but there is God in heaven who has control. You just have to set your eyes upon him. You just cry and sleep. Communicate like that little child who is powerless, but simply know, I'm not focusing on this problem. My focus is on Christ, who is able to do it for me, who has done it for me in the past. Just like the child's help come from the mother, let us take this example, like vile tu ina sound. Kama mamangu anaweza nisaidia na Mungu mwenye aliniumba. If you trust your mother so much that they cannot give you poison, that they cannot see you drown in water, they will save you. Automatically they will reach out and save you. God can do much, much more. Let us take that example and let it sink in us and trust God like a baby does. Challenge to us. Where are we fixing our eyes upon? And Soro challenged us I think the last 2 Sundays. Akatuliza, do we think that God is looking upon the government vile itafanya so that he can come in and help us? We should get out of that cocoon of saying, wacha tugoje serikali vile itafanya, kazi itarudi. We should get out of that. We should say, ifanye ama isifanye, we are focusing our eyes on Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith. Bwana asifiwe. I hope we take up these challenges and do them and practice them. And I hope the word of God has blessed us and is going to change our lives. Thank you so much. Pastor Du, welcome.